Hello, 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 everybody. I am back. It's been a while since I've done a video, but today I wanted to talk about something that's going to ruffle a few feathers, and I don't give a damn. Uh, and what I mean by ruffle feathers, I mean, ladies, I'm sorry if you're offended by this. And if you are, maybe this is you. And for the fellas, just understand that I've kind of always had your back. Um, we are not perfect people, humans. We all make mistakes. But this topic, a little sensitive. I was sitting there thinking, right, about a lot of things. One of the things that went through my mind was the constant men aren't shit. We don't need men. Uh, things along those lines. You know what I mean? Like, oh, we're independent, strong women. What do we need men for? The other day I saw a video and I laughed because it was a way to open up a jar, a secret way to open up a jar, but it was a stupid way to do it because, the stuff will go bad. But then after the fact, the woman tells her husband, well, I don't need you anymore. Bye. And it was funny because it was funny. But this is just along those lines, and I had, all jokes aside, right? I grew up in a family with mostly women, right? There's very few men in our family, other than, you know, the ones that were married into the family. There's very few, few men in our family. And I used to think that we were cursed. And I know that there's a couple of us who used to feel that way too. Like, there's always just the women. Very few husbands have stuck around and been a part of this whole thing. And it used to make me think, like, yo, is it just us? Because I know that I've been through hell and back. I've seen my mom go through some time, except until she met my dad. Different story. And, my aunts and stuff like that, and cousins. And then I started thinking deeper, right? And what I mean by deeper, right, is this whole feminist movement, right? Where we want us. Yeah, you see Mike? He's so cute. Isn't he cute? Anyway, I just realized I was there. Anyway, so, this whole feminist movement, right? So I am all for, you know, us as women being able to do anything a man can do in the sense of work and things of that nature, right? Because why can't we? If we have the strength and the smarts and everything else to do those things shouldn't hold us back. And I feel like as people who call themselves feminists, then that means you support any woman's decision, not just women who claim to be, I don't need a man. Because that's a common thing. Like, oh, we're feminists, we don't need men, blah blah blah. And I know we don't need men for certain things, right? And I'll get there soon. Um, but this whole thought process of how to, like, we need to be a certain way and do certain things to live up to that feminist thought. Not supporting, maybe not being as supportive to women who want to be stay-at-home wives and moms and doing things what they say is traditional, and we were forced into that over our lifetime. um but we're talking about millions of years. We're not talking about women being at home taking care of children and taking care of children in the past 50 years, 100 years. This has been going on forever, and it's the same people who understand that are differences between men and women other than our physicalities, what we look like, right? What our bodies can do, right? Um, we are emotional creatures, women. Men more try to be rational and use their brains. And sometimes it doesn't always work out that way. I can laugh about it because it's funny, okay? Fucking loosen up. It's not that serious. Um, but honestly, we are different in that way where we're more nurturers and they're more protectors, right? Um, with their just testosterone and our estrogen. This is just what it is. We are different beings. And although we may be able to do a lot of the same things, there are just some things that we can't. We can't. And obviously we need men to reproduce. And also saying that, oh, but science is coming up. See, and this is where the split changes for me because I am a huge believer in God. And if you're not a believer of God or just this power in the universe and whatever you want to call it, you have to understand that us people taking what was created, not by science, and trying to recreate that, like cloning, that wouldn't be an imperfect thing, um, is scary to me. But I don't want to go into it that deep. That's not where I really wanted to go with this whole topic. I really wanted to get into the fact of how over the years us women have devalued men. Um, a lot of people, I've seen a lot of females, especially a lot of young females, like, oh, men ain't shit, oh, they ain't doing shit, blah blah blah. And a lot of this comes from way back when this whole women's movement came into place, where we started taking the role on of doing things what men do, so essentially giving them the okay to step back and say, well, if you can do it and you want to do it, by all means take the reins. So thinking about it that way, sort of like even with the whole thing with abortion, oh, it's my body, it's my decision, but understand that when you laid up with someone, it was both of your decision. So how is it fair that it's because it's your body, what entered your body was not just you, it was you and that other individual. And taking the rights away from a man to assist in making a decision about bringing a child into the world also makes men think and feel, well, her body, her decision. So if that kid comes into the world, why do I need to be responsible? Right? Because now we are women and we can do whatever a man can do. Right. Just sit on that for a second. So don't get me wrong. I honestly believe that if two people bring a child into the world, then everything should be done equally, right? Even if the parents are not together. Even if you and that person decided, you know what, we're going to go our separate ways, fine. Understand that we're splitting the responsibility, not only financially together, but then we should also split that time evenly because the parent needs to take care of themselves as well. Um, but let's go back to, how about if the kid doesn't come into the world? I've done a lot of research on this topic and on how men also feel, in these situations where that decision was taken away from them. Um, and I think that us as women continually, so over the years, we have continually done things to remove responsibility from men. And then we turn around as women and blame them for not doing these things. There are women in the world who still want to be at home. They want to take care of their children. They want to take care of their home. They want to take care of their husbands. Their husbands are working, and nowadays, because this whole movement, now women who want to do that are looked as, oh, she is a gold digger. She wants a man to take care of her. Or what, like, it just can't be the fact that she genuinely just wants to be a family at home where she takes care of home and the husband takes care of the money and they come together and they figure it out. Like, that is not a thought anymore. Very rare that you find um a man or someone who's raised with those type of values to say, hey, I want my wife to stay home. I want her to take care of our children and take care of our home until she's ready, or if she ever wants to go out into the world and do her own thing. Now, I'm not taking away from women wanting to be out and do their thing and work and have careers and be educated. I think that's a beautiful thing. I just don't, I'm not with the downplaying of the father at home. I've seen many people raised without fathers and good men in their lives at home. Because there's always the dad that takes care of you and he comes and he picks you up on the weekends and he does fun things with you and then he drops you off. And that's amazing. To have a dad at home that you grew up in the home with and have him be there when you go to bed at night and be there when you wake up in the morning, take you to school, pick you up from school, take you to your dances or whatever the case may be, all together at family get-togethers and celebrating holidays together. It's those things are very rare these days. Very rare. And I feel that those in those moments, children lose out on those values. And because we live in a time of cancel culture where tradition is no longer a good thing, it's looked at like, oh, that's horrible. You're living in old times, and all so that you can adjust to the mistakes that have been made in the past. What I mean by mistakes, I mean the whole time of us just taking away the value of what having a real man at home is like. We're not raising real men anymore. I'm going to share something that happened today that really pissed me off. My 8-year-old was outside playing with some little boys in the yard because our yards are connected. And my husband was out there at first, and then he left. He went to go grab some food, came back, trusted that because he was playing with the boys too, tossing a ball around. And before he got back, my 8-year-old was chased into the house by these boys who were throwing things at her due to my husband's belief and, oh, he's a Trump supporter, blah, blah, blah. And they chased my daughter in the house and was throwing water bottles at her. 1 second. Now that I've had a second to collect myself, when you don't raise your sons to be respectful to people, period, but also to women, because you're a woman who had a son. Sometimes they have sisters and aunts and grandmothers, and you yourself do not raise your son to be a man with respect for the world, then things like that happen, right? And the truth is, for us women to try to raise men is very difficult because we honestly don't know what it is to be a man, what they go through mentally, physically, and even emotionally. Sometimes we just really don't know. So we do our best as mothers to raise men. And that is a difficult task in itself. I personally don't have boys. And Sometimes I thank God I don't have any boys because God knows where I'd be right now. But I have friends who have boys. My mother-in-law who has boys. Um, and just having to raise a son without a father and to teach them how to respect, how to work hard, how to protect, how to educate themselves. It's a woman cannot do that. Just the same way a man can't turn around and try to raise a woman. Okay? Because we can agree that we are different. I don't like this whole pretending, you know, this whole we can do everything a man can do, or vice versa. Like, no, a man cannot give birth. No, a man cannot breastfeed a child. It's very rare that you find a very nurturing man who is very in touch with his emotional feelings. It's just really, really difficult. And for a woman to do what a man does and to have the pride to do it. And it's just sad how we are now in a generation where cancel culture has made us try to cancel out the men and devalue the men in this world as if they are not human beings themselves and deserve to be loved and deserve to be respected for their contributions to family and to society. So now I'm going to share something else with you. Okay? As a child, I was molested by my aunt's husband. Okay? And not a lot of people talk about it. Not even my old family members talk about it. They kind of write it off and sometimes still honor this individual. I've chosen not to, and I chosen not to pretend either. Okay? And so having had experienced that, having had experienced rape, having had experience being harassed at work and other things as a woman, I don't agree that men should go around feeling like it's okay to disrespect a woman or devalue a woman because she's something good to look at, right? Sexualizing women. With that thought process, right? It goes back to me raising my daughters, okay? Because of what I've experienced. So I have my oldest, and when she was a baby, so old enough to understand what her privates were, I've always told her, these are your privates. No one is allowed to touch them. Do not show them to people. People, not just men, people. You have me, you have your father, you have a doctor, if we're in the room, but there's nobody else. Grandma's gonna bathe you, your titi's gonna bathe you, or whatever the case may be. This is the list. Modesty. Because truth, we don't control what other people think, what other people feel. So what I mean by that is that whether you're a man or a woman looking at someone else, regardless to what they're wearing, that person can't control what's going through your mind. So we have this running joke, right? When the winter comes or the fall comes and guys are out there buying their gray sweats, and how, my homegirl Tracy understands where I'm going with this. It's like, oh, what are you wearing? Why is that an ongoing joke? I'll wait. I'll wait for the real women to answer because everybody else is just going to be like, oh, but it's not the same. No, no, no. I'll wait. Okay, let's continue this conversation. So, the reason why we have this ongoing joke is because us women see men wearing sweatpants, and where do your eyes go? I have this joke with my husband all the time. He goes to the gym wearing sweatpants. I'm like, yo, cover up my junk. Am I sexualizing my husband? Or am I being honest that when people look at him, they're not looking at his face when he's wearing that? Because us women do it too. So when we teach our daughters to be modest, it's not because we're sexualizing them. It's because we can't control what other people think, what other people may do. And as much as we as parents, a lot of us as parents, try to raise our children to be good, decent human beings and not disrespect, to not disrespect people, you know, we can't control who our children later on become. Okay, they're going to think and feel what they want to think and feel and do what they want to do, no matter how much we try to instill certain things. So that goes all around for everyone, correct? So when you're dressed not so modestly and you're getting attention and you're angry, understand that we cannot control the other people. So instead of being angry, be understanding to the fact that, well, I'm walking around half naked. I know this is going to get me attention, positive or negative. You're going to have to accept it. Okay? Men are not the only ones who do this to people. We as women also do this. Can't be a double standard. And I know some of you are like, oh, but that's not right. You know, people shouldn't be that way. Men shouldn't be that way. Um, I know. I know. And if we have been raising men over these years, men, to not think that, you know, they rule the world, that they are the kings of everything, but we raised men to honestly respect the people that they come around, regardless to their hormones, some of these things wouldn't happen. And there'd be more fathers at home raising men. But we're, again, at a time where we are canceling our cultures, our traditions, to raise good men, to raise young women to feel like men aren't shit. So for those of you women now who are raising your boys to later on say, oh, women aren't going to think you're shit, so fuck them and fuck blah, blah, blah. You're continuing the cycle and making it even worse. So this goes for both mamas of boys and mamas of girls. It has to happen. It has to happen now because our future generations are fucked. I'm looking at this generation now and I'm scared for my two little ones. Like, these are supposed to be their leaders coming up. I'm not exactly comfortable with the way this world's going at all. This isn't woke. This isn't woke. We've lost morals. We've lost tradition. We have lost respect. I can't even, it's like I'm so frustrated. Like I can't even gather my thoughts exactly the way I want to express them. It is just so sad how we are so-called progressing. And for me, when I think of progression, I think of, furthering your education, right? And I'm not just talking about, what's going on in the world. I'm just saying, educate yourself. That's progression. Get a better career. Think of progression. And I also think of, you know, boys becoming men, becoming hardworking men, being entrepreneurs, making something of themselves, feeling whole. Because I know that that's also something that stunts our men in this world, who feel like if they haven't succeeded in the financial world, um, that they cannot succeed in anything else. And everyone that comes into their life struggles with them. And they don't get enough support. I honestly believe that they don't get enough support. I'm not saying it's everyone. I'm saying a large majority don't get the support that they need to progress in life. So when they get into relationships, it just doesn't work. So one of the hardest things to do for me, I think, is being the heart of the home, right? Where we, the mother, the wife, the woman, needs to make decisions, especially when it's for other people. Um, and those other people are the most important people in your life. Um, and when we're broken and when we've experienced heartache and disappointment, it's hard to get yourself back into thinking clearly on what you really want in life. Um, and me personally, I've always just wanted to have some type of peace and harmony because I've experienced a lot of the opposite. It took me many years um, to understand what that meant. Okay, so quick story again. As a kid, um, my mom had me at 16 with my biological father. It was her first time. Yes, I'm a product of a first time. And I never got to really know who this person was. My mom remarried not too long after that to my sister's father, right? And that was a heartache for me because I was close to him at that time. That didn't last. I saw my mom go through an abusive relationship. Again, did not last until my mom met my dad. And my dad took my mom with me and my sister, obviously not his biological daughters, and he did th- the very best thing he could do: love us unconditionally. And I am by far and have been by far the hardest person to love, to understand. And I think a lot has to do with my past as a kid and the stuff that I've gone through. And those are things that I worked through. But seeing the example that he showed me, which was for me the most ultimate important thing, was the respect that he gave to my mom and he gave to us, and that carried. And I see the tradition there, and he also had a son previous to him being with us, and he had a different experience than we did, right? So when my dad passed away, you know me and my brother were talking, like my dad's son was talking about our different experiences. And I had dad in my life for 30 some years. And my experience was different. I had my dad, and he was close to me. And even when he got sick and he had to move out to California, he was always my dad. And he took care of us from there, was always there. And, you know, his son experienced a different kind of thing. And although they had a relationship, um, experiences change a relationship. And their relationship changed because of what happened between his mom and my dad. So this is what I mean when I say that we are human and we make mistakes. But I feel that, you know, again, we're living in a time where if something doesn't work, we just throw it out and we just get a new one, a better one, a quicker one, whatever the case may be. If something's broken, we don't try to fix it anymore. And, you know, that's also something that was traditional. And some people will argue, like, oh, but if somebody's being mean or if somebody's being disrespectful, or, why do you have to tolerate that? And why do you don't have to tolerate abuse. And that is not what I'm saying. That is by far what I am saying. What I'm saying is that if you have invested time with someone, also look in the mirror. Look at yourself and see, have you been perfect? And if you haven't been perfect, does that mean you do not deserve love? Do you not deserve people giving you an opportunity to make things better? And if you're keeping tallies in who's done what to who and how many more times you've done to me, then how is that even fair? What if you're the one with the heavier count? Do you deserve to be given up on? Do you want to be given up on? I don't think so. And I think that goes across the board. And the only reason why I say that is because at this point in time, again, men have been devalued. Like, oh, you have 3 strikes, you're out. But when a woman does it and we are crying, we're supposed to be or expected to be forgiven because we are not as bad as. That's not true. So I think the whole moral of what I'm trying to get to is that I think that we need to stop devaluing men. I think especially those women who give birth to sons, because would you want the rest of the world putting your son in a category with other men who would be technically considered not shit? I mean, I doubt it. I doubt it. I gotta admit, sometimes when I hear men say, "Oh, women, blah 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 blah," I get offended because I'm a woman, and even though, like, I am not that type of woman that they're talking about, it offends me because it's like we're not all the same. So when you say men aren't shit, and you're the mother of a son, you need to understand that this message that you're sending out and you're rallying fellow females on and who are going to teach that to their daughters, your son is going to be amongst those group of women that are growing up with him, calling him not shit. Yeah, the double standard sucks. So I'm sorry if you're offended by this. You may agree, we can agree to disagree. I'm not going to argue with anybody. So if I get any stupid comments, understand I'm not going to respond. I said what I said. You're not going to change my mind because I've had a lot of time to think about this. And I just feel that we need to start giving a little more respect where it's due and stop generalizing people. I just think that we need to start being more conscious of the message that we're sending our children and putting out in this universe, because when you become a parent, sometimes that comes to backfire in your ass hard. Hard. The one thing we said we wouldn't allow our children to do, or judging other people, that is exactly what will happen to you, even worse. Trust me. So, again, if you have a husband who works hard, who does what he needs to do and takes care of stuff, and you're a wife at home doing what you need to do, congratulations for being in a traditional marriage. If you have hard times, that's what happens. Life is not perfect. If you are a single parent, a mother of a boy, of a girl, understand that the messages that you say clearly will carry with them. Okay? So if you're sitting there with your son and he's little, some girl passes by with her booty coming out of her shorts, and you make a comment like, Oh, that girl's looking to get her ass raped. Oh, look at that hoochie mama. That's what your son is going to believe. And that's what he's going to repeat. Right? When you call somebody else's daughter a hoe, your friends have daughters, family members have daughters. You're teaching your son to not respect women because of your mouth. You don't have to teach them to be disrespectful directly, but sometimes you say things and don't realize that they're listening. And yes, kids shouldn't be in adult conversation, but they can hear you. They can hear you. That's why I do my videos when my kids are asleep. And if you're a mom of a girl and you're going around saying nasty things about boys because you think if you're saying it enough, maybe they'll just stay away from them. No. They're going to do what they want to do. It's their hormones, not yours. But you're also teaching them to not respect them and not value them. And it's wrong. They're human and they deserve just as much love as your little girl does. So again, we can agree to disagree. That's perfectly fine with me. But when you start pulling human decency out of the whole picture, because we shouldn't care about each other and other people's feelings, but oh my God, we need to have peace and love. You're contradicting yourself. You look like an ass. I'm sorry. That's true. That's true. I can't. I really can't. I don't move without love. I don't move without love. It's sad. Think about you and only you. Fuck the world. But peace and love. So thank you so much for watching. I'll also be posting some other videos when I have a chance. There's one video that I've been sitting on for a long time, kind of wondering if I should or shouldn't post it. It's a hard to listen to video. Don't let the makeup at the time and all that stuff fool you. I do that every now and then just because I'm feeling myself. But the messages I'm trying to send are very serious. I'm sharing my experiences in my life. Still working on my book. But these videos will do for now. See y'all soon.